Peace, family. This is your boy Juro. I started recording earlier, but for some reason it dropped. So I'm going to try to do this again. So before I start my day, I felt something touch my spirit. Like someone needed validation. So this message is for you. This video is called Rip, Clip, and Remove. You're saying rip, clip, remove. What is the significance of that? Those are all descriptive words of events that occur in your life. See, when you rip something out, you leave a void. You don't worry about what's left behind. It just is moved by emotion. It is a decision that usually is done based on an outcome that we do not understand. So earlier today, because I'm literally getting ready to leave, I came out like I always do. But on my days off, I always tend to my yard. I do it for a couple reasons. One, it helps stimulate my mind. Just like you may have find time to ponder because you have a way of tapping into yourself. May it be driving, may it be a hobby, may it be through analytical exercise such as work. Then, for some, it may be by way of crisis, a disturbance. So what made me think once again, the words rip, clip, remove. See, right now, with the weather the way it is where you are, there may be things stirring in your environment, and those three things that I described are your options. Do I A, rip myself from the environment? Do I clip, which means making adjustments, but keep the foundation as it is? Or do I remove? And you say, well, Gerald, what's the difference between ripping something out and removing something? Well, when you remove something, it no longer is a part of your life. It no longer serves you, as well as the emotional connection to it. Now, usually, this is how growth is done. Usually, it is something that has brought us to a place where a decision has to be done for the betterment of your growth. But then, because we as a community, as a society, try to take the road that is easiest at times or less disturbing, we'll make adjustments, maybe financially, maybe socially, or even intellectually, because you have come to a crossroads where you realize that where you are right now does not serve you. And if that is the case, if this is you, number one, Be your own advocate. So what I mean by being an advocate is, number one, is this being motivated by fear, or is this being directed by strength? Because you'll also know, as I mentioned, the three words rip, clip, remove. The one thing that must be decided is the action. That's for somebody. You may be pondering right now that you're looking at a betterment in your financial situation, or a change in environment altogether. It may be a reassessment of those who have access to your life. But what must be done? You must have to decide what is best for you. And a lot of times, family, that can be very daunting. And what happens? When we see it, we must first have the strength to acknowledge its presence. Then we must survey the pros and cons to that choice. What is the impact? What is the investment? What is the margin of time that will be used? Or what is the tool needed to render the result that we desire? And this is why, family, a lot of times in our associations, people have a way of coming back. Who am I talking to? All of a sudden, out of the blue, there they go. Here they come. And it takes you back in a moment of time from the first hello. You know why people do that, family? It is to reassess your worth, your value, as well as they want to see if you gained the lesson from the connection or the validation of the love, the bond. Because, as I've always echoed to each and every one of you, the people that have your best interest will personify it by the example. Even if that means they will not be able to have the opportunity to see the end result. Why? Because that's what LOVE. But this can be challenging too, because we have been seeing the same propaganda, the same narrative to socially get you to accept, not validate what's important to you. So it is digestible without accountability. So we're going back to those three words again. When it comes to your life, are you going to have the strength to rip it out? Or are you going to just prune the situation? Or better yet, allow yourself to breathe, to go within, to be transparent, to have a connection with that little boy or little girl that lives within you still, and have the strength to hear your voice, to see your worth. And some of y'all may very well be doing this right now, and that's great. But just know this, family. Your growth, your change, your steps are done by your choice. You don't need permission from anyone to be you. But what is required is that you love yourself more than you will ever know, even in times of uncertainty. So while I was out here this morning, not even, I'd say 45 minutes ago, as you can hear the lawnmowers and the weed eaters going, I saw the grass in the cracks And I've gotten to a position now, family, that instead of weeding, using the weed eater just to cut it down, or using the chemical to cause it to corrode itself and eventually die, why don't you just be patient? Why don't you allow yourself to critically think and see it through? So what did I do? I started at one position, slowly but surely. Instead of ripping it out from hand to shoulder, I grabbed firmly, pulled to the side at an angle. Because when you look at grass, if I can analogize it some, grass is the same root, has the same example of rooting as our hair follicles, as our cells. That is why when a hair is tweezed out, the best way to pull it out is by the angle. Because what happens? You take control of what anchors it, what causes it to regenerate, what causes it to grow. So, not to ramble, if you are in a place of uncertainty, ask yourself on your next decision, your next choice. Do I have to rip it out? Do I need to clip it down? Or do I have the courage to be patient, survey it, and make the steps to remove yourself from it? And if you decide to do that, fam, let me tell you what's going to happen. Because people always want what they don't have. And maybe this is the moment where you must draw the shutters, the blinds of your life, and be still. You notice every time that you're faced with a challenge, they always say you need to breathe through it. But what they're asking you to do is take accountability and acknowledge the now. That's what's really going on, family. That's what's really going on. Be present in your life. Because it's too easy to take the second seat, to go with the flow. And not to be redundant, that is what the top 1% has been doing financially since the beginning of time. Because see, they know that they had to make a decision. They had to make a choice. And no matter what, they stayed true to it. So shouldn't the greatest choice you'll ever come to know, which is the greatest investment you'll ever make, is the person in the mirror that you wake up to every morning. And the reason why you do that is it is to personify not only your legacy, but it also validates the journey that those who came before you to fulfill the promise known as your life. I hope, family, wherever you are, you're smiling. And don't worry. Yeah, I know some people say you got to break an egg to make an omelet. That's okay. Well, maybe you're not supposed to make that omelet. You ever thought about that? Love yourself more. And it starts when you claim you. Be blessed.